Now the results. The results of at least from the time that Nixon started the war on cancer in 1971, I remember that well. It was a big political effort on his part, obviously. He didn't know anything about this really, and he declared we're going to solve cancer. And it was really an attempt to actually grow the industry so they could produce more and perhaps better cytotoxic agents. Finally, in 2004, what is that? That's 33 years later. Some Australian and American scientists got together and had an opportunity to go back and collect data of all the people who got cancer during that time and were treated, let's say with chemotherapy. They got an opportunity to look at those people to see whether or not those chemotherapy drugs were effective. And that collection of data, the large body of data, it included 22 different kinds of cancers. So they had an opportunity to compare various kinds of cancers. They had different drugs. I mean, some drugs are for certain kinds of cancers and others for others, if you will. And so to ask the question, are these drugs working? What they thought they would do is to see if it affected 5-year survival rates. It turned out, looking at all these data collectively, published in 2004, all looking collectively, they increased 5-year survival by only 2.1%, insignificant. Some would argue, in fact, that was an exaggeration. It probably, if anything, was killing them, sooner. So this was a dismal sort of statistic at the time. Quite frankly, since that time, the cancer industry's tried to ignore that, been aware of it, but trying to find some other means to treat cancer patients. I show it here because we spent 33 years doing this, and some before that time even, using these cytotoxic drugs, and they're really not working. All the while ignoring the role of, possibly the role of nutrition. And here's another thought. I don't know, I mentioned this before, you may recall. Many of these chemo drugs actually cause new cancers. They're pretty toxic. And here's something I must tell you. It's almost emotional. When you think about it, it's almost emotional. It's very personal. They have a recommendation these days that for cancer patients who are being administered these cytotoxic drugs, that visitors come in, or their patients are told when they use the facilities to be sure to flush 3 times. So they don't leave any of that chemical thereabouts. Because if visitors come to the room, there's a problem. So there's a sign up. I happen to have seen that sign. I lost my brother just a year ago. As a matter of fact, I saw that sign, be careful, flush 3 times. It's really just disgusting. So that's the state of affairs as far as cytotoxic drugs is concerned. The cost of developing a new cytotoxic therapy agent, incidentally, you can see the number there, $1.3 to $1.8 billion. These are 2014 figures. I'm sure it's a bit higher now. So we're spending a lot of money treating people for things that really are missing the mark as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's move on here. So let me add some summary comments. Summarizing the consequences of genetic determinism in cancer, and it's in a word on genetic determinism. What I mean by that is we tend to believe that diseases occur whether because we have the genes or don't have the genes. It's in our family. We've heard that story many times. That's what a product, it's a kind of thinking and reflecting on here that I'm talking about. Genetic determinism is the presumption that disease is largely caused by things we can't control. And therefore, we have to use harsh measures to bring that under control. They have just come here, assuming that genes and their mutations are causes of cancer, unfortunately conveys a sense of hopelessness. If we actually believe that, and we do, most people believe that, it's really a very difficult disease to deal with ourselves. Perhaps it was a family, friends. You get cancer and you say, wow, there's nothing I can do about it. What's the latest drug I can get? And the drugs are acting on our genes, and it's impossible to change our genes. So we kill the cancer cells. We don't turn our attention to looking at the possibility there might be other ways to think about this question. So there's a new, by the way, cytotoxic drugs are now being they're on the decline a little bit, as I said before. And there's a whole new area called immunotherapy that's been quite active for the last 6 or 7 years. A new drug group. It looks to be a little more promising because the argument is made that we're treating people with drugs that would help our immune system to fight cancer, if you will. Sounds good on paper. But these immunotherapy drugs, and I don't have a chance to obviously get it here, but I'm very concerned about them too. They have side effects, and the side effects might require further drugs to treat those side effects. I'm afraid that that we're going down the same rabbit hole with these. I would hope not. I would hope that there's some there that might just work. Here's the sad part of this cancer story too. Many cancer patients fail to benefit, from the drugs I'm suggesting, and families suffer financial ruin. In contrast with the investors who are forever hoping for new chemo agent, get rich at the cost of $275 billion per year. I think just reflect on that. Reflect on that in the sense that how we're spending our money to do something that we think is right. That's yes, we're thinking we're doing. The people, most of us are not. We're not doing it wrong. We're caught in a paradigm. We just can't even think beyond the paradigm. And most of all, for those who do know and should know, they want to exclude nutrition as a consideration, of an alternative way of thinking about things. Just to bring it up to date in the current time, I want to mention President Biden. This is relevant here. It's another sort of sad part of the story. I feel sorry about this actually. And I have to say, I don't want to get into politics in this case, but I do have to say, I voted for Biden. I'm a progressive by nature. And let's set that aside just so that people don't get misunderstanding on this. Obama, when he's leaving office in 2016, during the period, the downtime between the time he was elected and then Trump took over, during that time in December, I believe it was in 2016, he dedicated $1.8 billion given to NIH to, stimulate the National Cancer Institute. Let's get busy. Let's work harder on the cancer question. Obama had just lost his son at that time, and he was, in a sense, it was according to commentary made at the time, he generally thought it was an attempt to put forward to let's get a little more busy trying to solve this problem. Biden, in turn, at that time, he and his wife organized a couple of nonprofits to collect some money, and they had some success. Joe Biden is a really great guy, fine person. But he wouldn't know about cancer. But in any case, he wanted to see more expense put into the system so we could get on with the job of solving the stern cancer problem. Unfortunately, that went on for 4 years or so. And finally, he suspended those two nonprofits. And I have found literature to explain that he wasn't totally happy with what he was saying. He didn't see the kind of progress that he unfortunately had hoped to see. He was concerned about researchers arguing with each other and so forth and so on. I just don't want to reflect on that too much. I don't want to say anything definite, but I think he was not altogether happy. At least that was my impression. However, just in his State of the Union message, he announced a new health agency that now is supposedly going to be devoted to helping end cancer as we know it. The White House proposed a total of $6.5 billion to ramp up cancer drug development. I'm concerned. I'm concerned because I know the money spent back here early on and cut the money now that's becoming available to explore new cancer possibilities is primarily for drugs. It's not for nutrition. I doubt seriously there will be any really attempt to try to understand that. I call that, I think, rightfully so. It's a waste of government funding. I'll leave the rest of it to the political arena, but I'm concerned because I just think, as scientists, we've got to tell the truth. And we have some truth here that the politicians don't want to listen to. So there you have it.